Hi guys, welcome back again to another sewing tutorial on Jowins channel. Thank you so much for stopping by. In today's video, we'll be learning how to make a crisscross bustier. If this is what you're interested in watching, please watch to the end, like, share and subscribe. So guys, let's get right into the tutorial. So guys, on the pattern, the first thing I'll simply do is to draw my startup line, which is going to act as a guide for my horizontal or vertical measurement. Okay, so I came down by 1 inch from on the pattern, and from that line I'll go ahead and take my bust measurement, my under bust and the waist measurement. My actual waist is 18 inches, but I added additional 1 inch to the waistline. Okay, so go ahead and place your own measurements on the pattern depending on what you want to create, either using this pattern to create a skirt or probably attaching a flare to it. So it all depends on what you want to do with this particular pattern. So the neck width I'm working with is 3 inches, which is the basic neckline 3x3. My shoulder is 7.5, which is my shoulder divided by 2. From that point I came down by 1 inch to establish my shoulder slope. I'll go ahead and mark my round armhole divided by 2 minus half an inch. Okay, so you all know how to take your armhole measurement. You can use the formula, which is your round bust divided by 6 plus 1.5. Using that formula, mine is 8.5. So I subtracted half an inch from it. So for this pattern, I'm working with 8 inches. I'll go ahead and establish my shoulder, the armhole slope using my bust measurement. Your round bust circumference divided by 4, you place it on your chest line. On the midpoint of your armhole, you go in by half an inch to establish your armhole slope. Okay, so this is for my own pattern, my own body measurement. So go ahead and work with your own measurement. So for the half bust span, which is my nipple to nipple divided by 2, I'm working with 4 inches. So on the bust, the under bust and the waist, I placed my half bust span. And then for the under bust contouring, I'll be going towards the side front, the center front by 1 inch. So go in by 1 inch on the waist and the under bust, and then towards the side front by 2 inches. So depends on your bust size. You can do 1.5 inches or you can do 1.75. So for this pattern, I'm working with 1 inch towards the center front and then 2 inches towards the side front, and then I will contour it to the bust point. Okay, so I'm going to using the curvy part of my French curve to contour this towards my bust points. Okay, so this is it for the under bust contouring. So we move over to the over bust contouring. So have in mind that basically for this style illustration, it's always a princess bustier. Okay, a princess bustier is best suitable for this style. So on the midpoint, I will just link it, the midpoint of my armhole, link it to my bust point. I'll come down by 2 inches and also link it this way. So this is a princess bustier or an armhole princess bustier, depends on what you call it. So on a norm, what you can do is to blend and then redraft your armhole, or you just replace the 2 inch that you came down with. Just mark 2 inches and create a new armhole so that you don't have what we call gaping. You can see that one part of that pattern, one part of the line seems to be longer than the other. So when those two panels join, it won't really fit. So you need to blend and redraft a new armhole, or you add additional 2 inch or 1.5 inches extension to the shorter line and create a new armhole. So the next thing I'll do is to take my body measurement and replace the dart intake we have on the pattern. So do that for your waist, quarter of your waist. Dart intake, the seam allowance I'm working with is 1.5 inches. Okay, don't forget your seam allowance on the pattern. We're working with a zipper. So for the neckline, I'm doing 3 inches by 3. That's a 3x3 simple basic neckline, and then I'll come down by 1.5 inches for my bust dart. Very important. Okay, so I keep talking about the emphasis, I keep emphasizing on the importance of a bust dart in a bustier. Okay, so the importance cannot be overemphasized. It's really so important. Okay, so at this point I was just adding the dart legs on the bust darts. Okay, so what I'll simply do is to use my tracing wheel to transfer this pattern to the other side. After tracing out with the wheel, I can see the tracing lines on my pattern, so I'll just go ahead and redraft whatever I have on this side on the other side. As you can see me doing, I'm just transferring whatever I drafted on one part of the pattern to the other side of the pattern. Okay guys, so while transferring this pattern to the other side, I also want to remind us to check out my previous tutorial on my summer dress. Please guys, support me and watch the video. There's so much to learn. I also talked about how you can create a tulip sleeve. Okay, for some of us who don't know, most especially beginners who do not know how to draft a tulip sleeve, I also included the tutorial in that video. So please guys, check it out. I'll drop the link to the video in the description. You can check it out, or probably clicking on my video. Just click on the video, you see the last video before this one. It's a very engaging tutorial I meant to say. Okay, so let's continue guys. To draft the crisscross, which is very important, what we need to do is to establish our neck depth. Okay, so on the shoulder, I'll move in by 1 inch from the neckline, and then from the extreme shoulder by 1 inch. Okay, so at some point I redrafted the measurements from the neckline and I worked with 0.75. Just take note of the measurements you're working with, because it's also going to be helpful for the back pattern. So you can see that I redrafted the measurements on that particular place. Initially it was 1 inch, but I reduced it to 0.75. The neck depth I worked with is 1.5 inches, so I came down by 1.5 inches, linking it to the center front, and the other leg of the neckline to the bust line, still on the center front, extending it downwards to the underbust. Okay, so if you look at the thumbnail, if you go back to the thumbnail, you see that on the waistline there's a keyhole around that area. So what I need to do is to go inwards, just move inwards by 1 inch, take a 1 inch slant. Okay, this is an opening. If you want to overlap, you can take a 1 inch slant outwards. Okay, so if you want to have a closure on the center front, there are ways you can also do that. Okay, so the next thing I'll do is to create the link. That is create my the connection from this point, extending it to one armhole. Okay, so probably I need you to look at the thumbnail very well so that you understand what I'm doing. So I'm going to be linking this particular line to the armhole. So it all depends on what you want. That is why it's very important that your armhole is not too wide so that your bust will not be revealing. So at this point, I'm going to use the curvy part to create that slopey line, linking it to my armhole. So you can also use this pattern to create that link so that it covers your bust. Depends on your armhole, or you can just make it a straight line. Use the straight part of your pattern to draw a straight line. So, but the most important thing to note that you have to close your bust darts before creating that link. Okay, so that you don't cut across your darts. It's not nice that you cut across your darts on a pattern. You must close your darts and then cut across it. So I'll go ahead and cut out the excess pattern paper. I'll close my bust darts using my paper tape, and then this is what we have. Okay, so take your time to understand your pattern so that you don't alter it when cutting it out. Okay, so we'll move over to the back very fast. It's a quick one for the back pattern. Watch to the end, because the back pattern is also very educative and illustrative, as in I was very detailed on the back pattern. So the back pattern I'm working with is 17 inches, 17.5, because I had to reduce 1 inch on the bust pattern. So I'm still working with the simple basic neckline, which is the 3x3. My shoulder slope, you all know the shoulder slope is 1 inch. The armhole I'm working with is 8 inches. So the armhole establishes the chest line. So the two basic line you need here is your chest and your waistline, like I mentioned. So it's a zipper. The zipper allowance is 1.5 inches. To eliminate my zipper bulge, I went in by half an inch on the waistline, linking it up to the neckline, extending towards the neckline, not necessarily getting to the point. On that same waistline, you still move in again by half an inch and link it up. Ensure that your measurement from the waist to the neckline is still 1.5. Okay, so just when you go in by half an inch eliminating your zipper bulge, take your 1.5 measurement till you get to the neckline. Okay, I hope I'm well understood. So I'm drafting my armhole. For your armhole, at the armhole at the back, there's no need going in by half an inch. So at this point, I'm taking my half bust span to establish my simple basic waistline, which is half an inch on both sides. This is just a simple basic darts for the back. At this point, you can also choose to create a princess armhole for the back pattern, but I didn't do it. Okay, so I'll take my body measurements, which is the quarter of my bust, my seam allowance, the waist, the quarter of my waist, seam allowance, and my dart intake, and I linked both parts together. So this is the most important part, which is the shoulder area. So the same thing I did for the front pattern, going towards inside by 0.75 and 1 inch on the other side. The neck depth is 1.5 inches, and then from that point I'm going to be creating a C curve back pattern for the back, linking it to the armhole. From that measurement we have on the shoulder, that is the 1 inch inwards I went on the shoulder, I'll go ahead and create a C curve. Okay, so this is just a C curve. This is the simple. You can choose to link it to the armhole directly, or you can create this C curve design for the back. Okay, so I'll go ahead and cut out the excess pattern paper for the back, and then I'll show us guys what we have after trimming out the excess. Okay, so guys, if you have watched to this point, guys, my fellow fashion divas and soulmates, please don't forget to hit on the like button so that YouTube can recommend this video. Like and share my videos. Please share my videos, guys. Thank you for your support. I don't take your support and engagement for granted. And let me know what you think about this tutorial. Let me know if you want me to also do a sewing tutorial for this pattern. I'll see you guys in my next video. God bless you all.